this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I said planting seeds, that's the mnemonic that you want to be thinking about, that you want to have as your daily dose, will include these factors. The social factor, so we'll spend much of the morning on all those social brain networks that make us who we are, and I'll describe how when these social brain networks are not nourished, we actually have impairment. I mean, even down to the chromosomal level. Can you imagine that? And that's amazing. And then we'll get into the other factors. The first E, exercise, probably the most powerful of them all, critically important. And education, and then diet. So we're going to spend a fair amount of time on diet and the kinds of things that are not so good to eat and the important things that you want to consume. And then sleep. Now, sleep is not one thing. There are stages of sleep, and it's really the quality of sleep that we really want to maximize. So we're going to be spending a fair amount of time on that as well. Let us talk about the most exciting area in neuroscience today. It's about Miracle-Gro. How many people are familiar with this concept of brain-derived neurotropic factor? Anybody here? This is really exciting stuff. And there are many different neurotropic factors, brain growth factors, brain proteins that's available to all of us. And this is so important with regard to aging, critically important with regard to aging, because brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF, which you could just remember as Miracle-Gro, is available under certain conditions if you make those conditions occur. And why? Well, it actually helps with neuroplasticity. It helps with long-term potentiation, as we were talking about before, and helps with the growth of new myelin and new glial cells, and also helps with the proliferation, the growth of new neurons in your brain. You know, when I was studying neuropsychology quite a while ago, we were told you'll have as many brain cells as you ever have the day you were born. It's all downhill from there. All you got to do is drink a beer, that's 10,000. Get a head injury, there's a bunch more. Just living 10,000 a day goes. And anyway, what you want to be doing is minimizing the loss, because you're just going to lose. Well, that's wrong. You can certainly minimize loss, and that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, but you can also grow new neurons. And one way is to maximize the release of BDNF. And this release of BDNF is yes?
Is any of this the concept behind luminosity?
Well, Luminosity is a website you're talking about? Right. Yeah. And so there are a number of websites out there now offering various computer-based trainings. And, you know, I don't want to make comment about a specific website, but, you know, the science isn't there for all of them. You know, there's some science for some programs. There was a recent study that came out in the journal Science for attention-based increases for older adults. I forgot which computer program that was. Yeah, but there are some computer programs that are useful, some fluff. And with regard to luminosity, I'm not enough familiar with it, and nor do I want in a public way make a comment. But the concept is, you know, some computer-based programs aren't bad, and they're useful. And perhaps luminosity could be offering. I'm just wondering if interesting. Did you hear what she said? She just went to a workshop that highlighted the use of some computer-based programs for schizophrenics, so that they could understand the difference between the voices over there and the voices in their head, so to speak. Ah, interesting. So what about this Miracle-Gro factor is really important for us. Look at the factors that decrease the birth of new neurons. Oh, God, look at the first one. Oh, no. Now, you don't have to worry about it, but me, old guys like me do. But now, how do I slow that down? I mean, you can't stop it. So chronically high cortisol, too. That means like you're stressed out or you're chronically depressed, because chronic depression contributes to high levels of cortisol as well. Well, how about radiation or traumatic brain injury? So there are some factors that we want to minimize here. Well, not everything you can minimize, but maybe you can slow some of them down. But look at the number, that's the next slide, but look at the actual growth of new neurons in the rat's brain, just as a pictorial development. It actually occurs in the guy named Fred Gage down at the Salk laboratory down in San Diego, who's one of the pioneers in this area. Gage, you recognize that name? Is he related to Phineas? Nobody knows, and everybody's. So here's BDNF at work. Incredible. Now, look at the factors that increase neurogenesis, increase the release of neurotropic factor, BDNF. Aerobic exercise, one of the most powerful that we have. That's the first E of seeds. And think of this, we didn't evolve on this planet to sit around in these uncomfortable chairs listening to somebody up here babbling on about the brain for 6 hours. It's not what our bodies evolved to do. How about fasting? Now, that's not skipping a meal, that's bad diet. So we're talking about 24 hours, and I don't know who does that anymore. I mean, I did as a young man. I was hanging around with these yogis and all that, and man, I actually did have some interesting experiences. But you got to, if you're going to be fasting, you got to know what you're doing, and you got to really stay hydrated. And you really got to make sure that you're going in and going out of the fast is done properly and all that. But how about fewer calories consumed? We just consume too many calories in this culture. We think it's cool to have all these danishes. We were joking earlier, before the seminar began, that, some seminars have a bunch of danishes sitting around. Well, you might as well not have anything. I mean, everybody's going to get scatterbrained in an hour later. Bad news. And you don't want to have too much glucose floating around in your brain. Bad news for the development of metabolic syndrome and later diabetes and all that.